Hey everyone, Maria here from Sydney, Australia. Thank you so much for joining me. Today I'm going to do a fun project, sublimating an oven mitt and a pot holder. I found these from a business that was going out of business, so I will link these if I can in the description box below, where you can get it from Amazon and the like. So I thought I'll do that. This project is going to feature watermelons yet again because I have old pot holders and old oven mitts that are dying now. So just to match the tea towel that I made earlier in the year, I'm going to use the same image here as well for my pot holder and my oven mitt. So what you'll need from this project is basically a sublimation blank such as these, some heat gloves, and I'm using the, I think it's called Dye Sublimation DS Transfer General Purpose paper from Epson. This is the Epson paper. I got mine from Machines Plus. I will link this business in the description box below. It is based in Australia. This is an A4 size pieces of paper or 8.3 inches by 11.7 inches long. So that's what I'm using, and I'm also going to be using some heat tape, and I'm also going to be using my Epson dye sublimation printer, and it is the F160. If you are in the United States, it's the F170, and I think in other countries they call it something different, again with a different model number, but it's basically the same. So I will link that in the description box below as well for you. And I'm also using my HTVRont heat press, the auto heat press. I thought it'll be interesting to see how the heat press does with this kind of sublimation blanks, with these sublimation blanks, and also how the printer goes with that, because there are a lot of videos out there on using converted printers and also the sawgrass, but there aren't many videos on using the Epson F160 to see how that looks. So I'll find this an interesting exercise. So I will be taking you over to the computer next, and then I will show you the design that I'll be making. So see you again shortly. Okay everyone, so I'm in my business edition of my Silhouette Studio program, and I'm going to bring up some watermelon files that I've had a long time ago that I used on my, what was it, tea towel, kitchen tea towel, and I love that. So I'm going to be sublimating onto, as I said earlier, the oven mitt and the pot holder, and I just want to complete like a set for me to have in the kitchen. I've got some old things that have become really worn over the years, and this is a nice little update, so I want it all to match. So I'm sorry I'm featuring watermelon images again. So what I have done is I've got a file here that says watermelon slice Christmas gifts. As I said, I've used this before. I'm going to get out of that, and these are the images I'm copying and pasting. So I've copied that, so I'm just going to say yes just to have it for there, and I'm just going to now paste. So these are the files here. Now these are quite big, so what I'm going to do is make them into like a trio here, and make it like that. Okay, so I'm going to group these together, and then I'm going to reduce them in size because I don't want them that big, but more so like around this size, and I think that looks like a really nice size. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop that up in the corner here, because the oven mitt, as you could see earlier, takes up pretty much a whole A4 page. So I'm just going to do a whole A4 page of this. So I'm going to click on the image here that I've grouped together. I'm going to go to Object, Replicate, and I'm going to say Fill Page. So it automatically fills the page for me. Now, if you're not happy with that and you want it to be closer, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make it basically go closer and kind of just make it look a little different, and like that. And we'll just arrange things as you see fit. Okay, so I've just finished now fiddling around with all of these, and I think it looks kind of cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to print this out twice, and then I'm going to show you this being printed out on my Epson sublimation printer, which is an actual dedicated sublimation printer, and it's the F160 here in Australia, but if you're in the US, it's the F170. It's the exact same printer. So my next view will be of me printing this out twice, and then we'll get onto the heat press and heat press our oven mitt and pot holder. So for this Epson sublimation paper, you have a white side. So I'll just show you that quickly here on the front. You have a white side, okay, and a more yellow side on the back. So you can see there is a difference. So the white side is what you print on clearly. So when you're loading it into this printer here, you undo that down the bottom of the tray, and then you have the white facing down, unless you are a refeeder printer, okay? So for this printer, you have the yellow side facing up, and I'm going to push that back in. And now I'm going to go to my computer, and I am going to print this off. So I'm just going to press print. So anyway, this is done behind the scenes here. And with these images, you have to mirror them. So I forgot to mirror it, so I'm going to go backwards and mirror that. Same difference at the end of the day because it's a pattern, but I'm going to now print it. So now the printing has completed. So here is the print. As you can tell, it is dull. So this will become more vibrant once the heat is activating the ink. So that's what sublimation is. So what I'm going to do next is I'll take you back to the craft desk. I'll show you the prints in more detail there, and we'll start to put the blanks onto the paper, and then we'll heat press it. So I'll see you again shortly. Okay, so now I have finished printing my images. So as I told you before, this is the Epson general purpose transfer paper, or dye sublimation. I'd say that's what the DS stands for, paper. I also use a sub within that printer too, and there's no problems at all, but that's what I'm using today. So you can see how the Epson sublimation dies, sublimation paper works with dye sublimation, and also with the HTVRont. So it'll be interesting to see how it works out. So I've done 2 pages, as I said. Here are my blanks. I'm going to take them out of the packet, so they're brand new. And so what I'm going to do, and this is a nice smooth finish. These are 100% polyester, and I've got that nice wadding in there to make them nice and safe for you to hold your hot things. So I've got my lint roller, and I'm going to lint roll any debris and things like that that are on the actual things. So make sure you get rid of it all. Okay, that's pretty clean. And then I'll do the same here with my oven mitt. Okay, so I'll just put my lint roller away. Or just put its protective packet on there. Packaging. Alright. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get one of these prints. And which way do I want it? This way will looks nice. I'm going to place my print. I like to do it this way. Yeah, this way. As you can see that there's a lot more print on the side, but that doesn't matter. I'm going to get as much of these prints in as possible on that. Okay, like so. And I am now going to tape it down with some heat tape. I want to make sure that I put quite a bit of tape, and the reason is that to ensure that my print doesn't move and I get ghosting and things like that when I'm finished. So you don't have to put as much tape. You can only put, you know, you can put 2 or 3 pieces. I like to err on the side of caution, and so I will put more. Doesn't necessarily mean it's right or wrong, I don't know, but I just want to feel that I'm doing the right thing. So here, go on the side. I'll do 1 here, and that should be enough. So I put this much heat tape on there, okay? That should be enough to keep it held down. And now I'm going to get my oven mitt, and I'm going to, this has got some string that I've just pulled off, and that's fine. And I should heat press this first, actually. No, I'll just leave it as is. I've done this before and it works out fine. So I'll put my page here, and whatever's left, I'm just going to cut that excess off. I'll put this on here, actually. I prefer this side here. I'm just going to cut the excess off. And you can save this page for another sublimation type project if you like at a later date. It will last you, so it's not a problem. Alright, so I'll just tape this down. Okay, so now these items are both taped down. You will also need butcher paper. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to cut this in half here. So I'll just grab my scissors and I'll just cut this down. So I'm just going to have butchered paper on the bottom, butchered paper on the top. That's to protect my heat press. And now I'll do the same for this, where I've got butcher paper on the top and the bottom. And then I'll take you over to the heat press and we'll get started on our project. Okay, so my heat press has now preheated up to 400 degrees Fahrenheit and we're going to use 60 seconds. So I'm just going to pull out the drawer. And now I'm going to first off do the pot holder. I did trim a little around it to just lessen the amount of sublimation ink being exposed. So I'm going to put this face down, put my butcher paper over the top, so I'm just like sandwiching that in, and I'm going to put my Teflon sheet over. I'm going to press that now for 60 seconds. Okay, so my heat press is now finished. I'm going to take out my Teflon sheet. I'm going to take this off. We'll see how that's sublimated. It'll be interesting. I'll just put that over to the side there for a moment. And now I'm going to do the same thing with my oven mitt. I'll put the Teflon sheet again. I've got my heat gloves on just to make sure it's not too hot. So 400 degrees for 60 seconds again. Okay, so that's just finished now. I'm going to pull it out, but I am thinking of doing this again. So I'm just going to turn it over and I'll just see if it's come through, and I think that it hasn't. Interesting. Okay, I'm going to do this again. For 60 seconds because I don't think it actually worked. This is very interesting because I was sold that these were sublimation blanks. And if I was sold a dud, I'm not going to be very happy. So I'm going to do this again facing now up for 60 seconds. All right. Now, this time it worked. I can tell. I'll show you. When I did it the first time, that hadn't come through. Now this has. So I think turning it over and doing it again was a good idea. I'm just going to put this now on my cold bench top. I'm just going to grab my other blank and I'm going to do the same to this one as well, because as you can see on this side it hasn't come through. So I'm going to do it again facing the platen. I'm going to put my Teflon sheet and press it again for 60 seconds. Okay, so my heat press is about to finish. I'm just holding the sheet down, taking off this, and now I'm going to have a quick look, and the print has come through, so I think that's worked as well. So I'm going to turn off my heat press and I'll take you over to the craft desk and we will have a look and see how that went. So I'll see you again shortly. Back on the craft desk, I wanted to let you know that the best thing you can do, I think, with the HTVRont press is that you need to have the image facing up. This, I think, worked. So let's open up and see how this went. Oh, and it did a perfect job. Look at this. How cute. It sublimated a little of the the little loop here, but who cares? I'll just take that off. And I'm glad I turned it over and had a look, because it didn't seem that it had pressed the first time with the image facing down. It needs to be facing up. And I think that did a fabulous job. Look at that. Isn't that cute? Take that off. There's still quite a bit of ink left on it, but the image is very vibrant. So I'm really impressed by that. And it is a thinner material, so interesting. I like that. That worked out really cute. I like that. So now I'm going to have a look at the oven mitt. And I think this turned out excellent as well. There's a bit of a crease here. Couldn't be helped. Oh, it actually, did it crack? No, it's just the way it creases. So that turned out great, actually. The images are nice and vibrant. They look really lovely. And take that off on the other side as well. I think it helps to tape it down really well when you're doing these things, to ensure that if it moves for whatever reason, like with those heat presses, I'll get rid of that. Whoops. That's the oven mitt. I think that turned out great despite that little thing there, but I don't think that could be helped. It was just the way this has been sewn and the like. So that's fine. This is for my personal use, but it did a really good job. The HTVRont heat press did an actual really good job. And look at that. Oh, it's so cool. I love it. That turned out great. And the pot holder also turned out great. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching the process of doing that with the HTVRont heat press and the Epson printer, the Sublimation SC F160 or the F170 if you're in the United States. And in other parts of the world, I don't know what they call the sublimation printer there. However, I'm very impressed with the colours. They turned out beautiful and vibrant. And I'm impressed with the HTVRont heat press. So as I said, make sure when you're doing sublimation that your images are facing up towards the upper platen, not down. And I think that made, a difference in how this printed. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. If you have any questions at all, or even any requests, please don't hesitate to let me know in the description box below with a comment, and I will get back to you as soon as possible, usually within 24 to 48 hours. Thanks again, and I'll see you again next time. Bye.